Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but what we really wanted to do was we wanted to edit the HTML page. And if we want to do that, then we need some way of accessing items on the HTML page. You will have noticed that I added this thing right here called an ID. What it does is it helps me identify an individual element on the screen. And that is the easiest way to access an element on the screen. So if I want to access this input tag, the easiest way to access it is by its ID. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to access it. So where is that ID? Well, it's in my HTML page. How do I access my HTML page? Well, if you think back to a couple videos ago, I said that the way we interact with HTML from JavaScript is using the document object model. In other words, we need to access the document. So the way you do that is you say document, and now we've accessed the document, and then we can say dot get element by ID. This is a function. And the input it takes is it takes an ID. So the ID of this input is hi. So I'm going to access it by hi. But what does this actually give us? Well, I'm going to console.log this when the page loads. So console.log document.getElementByID hi. And we'll come over here and we see that it logged out the entire input box. So that's great. So it logged out the input box. Sometimes my browser will log out the input box, and other times it will log out the object itself. So I'm just going to reload until it gives me what I want. Okay, so what it does is it goes out and it grabs the input element. The input element is an object, just like any other object you've worked with. And we can actually open this up, and we can see that it has a bunch of keys and a bunch of values. So for example, it has an on mouse enter key, and the value it's storing is a function. Um, if we look at the ID key, we can see that the ID is hi. So this is an object, and just like any other object, we can access its attributes, like we access its ID, and we can change its attributes. And that will be the subject of the next video.